are the Niners paying now for not addressing the O-line in the offseason? I know we talked O-line before, but it's a fair question. I mean, the one thing they added Trent Williams, and they drafted Colton McKivitz, and they signed Tom Compton. They did those three things. Was that enough?
Look, my question is, how did you expect them to address it? When you draft Mike McGlinchey overall,
you asked. They had a first-round pick. They could have went O-line instead of D-tackle. It was there. They prioritized other things, and they had reasons to do that, but they have a hell of a D-line.
Right.
And they decided to make something even better.
Right. Yeah. And Wirfs is playing great, but that's pick 14. You drafted Mike McGlinchey 8th overall. He was all right as a rookie. Last year, he was also all right, but he got hurt. You don't expect Mike McGlinchey to walk into year 3 and be terrible. You lost Staley. You replaced him with Trent Williams, who's basically Walter Jones or that kind of player. We're talking Joe Staley is very good. When Trent Williams, we're talking him and Tyron Smith are the kind of 1-and-1s in this generation of left tackles. So you replaced him. Look, you gave Weston Richburg a gigantic contract. It's not particularly your fault that he stayed healthy. And look, Garland played well enough last year where you could be convinced that that's the future. I think the big mistake was maybe the Tom Compton signing.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't know what he's doing on this roster at this point.
Yeah.
And
to me, that was just putting too much faith in Brunskill.
Right.
And the guy played 2 games at right guard.
It was too much faith in Brunskill. And I think they looked at Compton to person who retired because of his body breaking down. They looked at it as a 1-for-1 transaction. So
yeah, it's like
Person was not bad. Yeah. This guy's, but he's a little more athletic. Maybe he could be a little better than Person in the run game, and they looked at it like that. But look, Laken Tomlinson has had a rough year too. So I honestly think the O-line thing is all continuity. They weren't even working together in camp. They have a really good O-line coach. Let's just give it a couple more weeks before we freak out about it. They did go against a really good D-line in Philadelphia. We can't talk about how good Derek Barnett's a pretty good player. Brandon Graham has been a very good player for years. Fletcher Cox didn't play that much, but he's one of the best defensive tackles in football. Let's not overreact to this O-line. And the other thing is, look, we have Kyle Shanahan. He's going to cover up this O-line if it's really bad. So don't worry.
Real quick, a little historical perspective. 2011 was my first season covering the team. It was the lockout year. There was no mini camp, but there was still training camp and preseason, which was a whole lot more prep than this year. And if you remember, the Niners O-line was an issue throughout the first half of the year. It was a talking point every week. I remember Adam Snyder would sit at his locker and be pissed because he didn't want to answer the same questions every week. They all had a lot to answer for. Alex Smith was getting creamed. And then by 2012, they had the best offensive line in the league. And it was the same guys with Alex Boone instead of Adam Snyder. So you're absolutely right. Like, give them some time.